Hey there, welcome back to Blender. In this lecture, we'll learn about mesh vertex editing. So what does this mean? This means that we will start our work with the edit mode. Now you see our default object gets selected in object mode. We can come to know whether an object is in edit mode or the object mode by seeing this orange outline. An object gets selected in object mode by showing this orange outline. The same in edit mode will be viewed like this. Now let us add one more mesh into our screen. I'll place my 3D cursor here. Create. We'll take one UV sphere. Let us get a better view of this object. You see, the sphere has many edges, vertices and faces. So let us practice editing in this one. This mesh has lot of vertices, edges and faces, so practicing this will be really helpful. Now let us start with the selection of it. How to select the meshes. Now to deselect everything, press the A key on the keyboard. This deselects everything. To select a vertex, right click on the vertex you want to select. And to select multiple vertices, press the shift key on the keyboard, and while keeping it pressed, right click on the vertices you want to select. Now again, to deselect this, press the A key on the keyboard. This was the vertex selection. That is the default selection in edit mode. Now for edge selection, go to this widget. Here you can find three icons over here. This one is the vertex select, this one is the edge select, and this one is the face select. So let us work with edge select. In edge select, again repeat the same thing. Right click on the edge you want to select, and to select multiple edges, press shift key on the keyboard and select the edges you want. Deselect everything by pressing the A key on keyboard. Now for face select, again go to this widget, use the face select and right click on the face you want. Select multiple by keeping the shift key pressed and select the faces you want. Looks easy, right? But you need to master this, as this part will be used a lot in Blender. And believe me, by mastering this selection, you can really create really good sculptures in Blender. I hope you have got an idea of how to select edges, faces and vertices of an object. So now I think you're facing difficulty in selecting the vertices behind the object. To do this, the simple thing was to change our view. That is, now let us jump to edit mode, deselect everything by A, and now change our view. Suppose I select, let us go to face selection and select a number of faces. Now to select the faces behind this object, you would go to this part of the object, change your view and select the faces here. But this thing works only in simpler objects. When you go ahead in Blender and try the same selection in much complex objects, this becomes quite difficult. So the another method for doing this is to simply rotate the object. That is, suppose my selection is here now, and I'll select these 4 squares. Then again I will toggle back to object mode. I will go to rotation. You see I have rotated my object now. I didn't change my view. I rotated my object. Now again jump back to edit mode and select some faces. Now when we look behind, we will find the faces that we selected before. But this often confuses us, as we may just lose our path in middle. To make things easier, Blender has restricted the selection viewpoint. That is, it has a limit selection to visible function, which means you can select the front part and the back part all at once without changing your viewpoint. To do this, simply select this icon. Clicking on this will give a slight view of the part behind the object. Let us go more nearer to the object, and here can you see the smaller squares which are light shaded? So yes, you can select the smaller squares to select the part behind the object that is not under your direct view. And to select the front part, click on this black dot. This will select the front part, and clicking on the smaller squares will select the square behind the object. Now suppose I select the smaller squares by pressing Shift key. I have selected 4 smaller squares that is visible from the front side, and now I'll change my view to behind, and you see these are the 4 squares that we selected from that side in that view. And to select the front part, click near the black dot and the front part will get selected. In similar way, we can repeat it with edges and vertices. Now to toggle off this function, click on the same icon and it toggles back. So remember, this won't be helpful every time, as there would be much complex objects and you would have to make use of different methods depending on the complexity of the subject. By subject, I mean the object or the sculpture on which you are working. So always remember, we have learned 3 selections, that is selection by changing our view, selection by rotating the object, and selection by this viewpoint. This limit selection viewpoint is quite helpful. I often make use of this. So I advise my students to master this selection, and we'll proceed with the next lecture.